Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulihil kareem. Amma ba'd. Surah Ibrahim, verse 24. Alam tara kayfa daraba Allahu mathalan kalimatan tayyibatan ka shajaratin tayyibatin asluha thabitun wa far'uha fis sama' tu'ti ukulaha kulla hinin bi'izni rabbiha. This is an example of belief and disbelief. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala compares belief to a certain type of tree, and in the next verse, disbelief to another kind of tree. Let's look at the example. Have you not seen how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives the example? Now, this question, have you not seen, is to direct our attention to something important that we should notice. Because sometimes belief and disbelief come to us and they create a confusion. It's almost as if they're standing in opposition to one another, and a person falls into some kind of confusion, some kind of doubt. But Allah says you should never put yourself in that position, because when you understand the concrete example of these abstract concepts, you'll realize that you don't need to be afraid of kufr or daunted by it. It will be easy for you to choose belief and the things that go along with it every single time when you realize the nature of both. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given the example of kalimatan tayyiba, a pure word, a pure statement. Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu says, this is the statement of La ilaha illallah. Allah compares La ilaha illallah. And Mufassirin have mentioned that by extension, this refers to Iman itself. So this faith, which is rooted in belief in the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, its example is kashajaratin tayyiba. Now the word tayyib here, it indicates purity, but it also indicates the fruitfulness of this tree, of an extremely fruitful tree, an extremely beneficial tree, and also an extremely beautiful tree. Kashajaratin tayyiba, a beautiful, fruitful, beneficial tree. It's free of flaws, it's free of problems. What about this tree? Asluha thabit. Its roots are very firmly embedded deep into the ground. Wa far'uha fis sama'. Its branches are shooting high into the sky. So it's rooted very deeply, which means it's a very strong tree. No one can move that tree. No one can shift it. Powerful winds cannot uproot this. Human beings also cannot uproot it. It's so deep. And its branches are shooting high into the sky. تُؤْتِي أُكُلَهَا كُلَّ حِينٍ بِإِذْنِ رَبِّهَا. And this tree is bearing fruit all the time. There's no season. The whole year is its season. It's bearing fruit in the day and in the night. It's bearing fruit every day of the year. It's bearing fruit every moment of the day. And there is no part of the year or a month or a day when it is not bearing fruit. And like this, Allah gives examples. On the other side, وَمَثَلُ كَلِمَةٍ خَبِيثَةٍ, the example of a wretched word. Wretched word meaning a word of kufr or a word of shirk, or disbelief itself. كَشَجَرَةٍ خَبِيثَةٍ. It's like a wretched tree. Wretched means it is bereft of any benefit. It's void of any good. It neither gives fruit, nor does it give shade, nor is it useful for anything else. A completely useless tree. شجرة خبيثة اجتثت من فوق الأرض. it was uprooted from above the ground. مَا لَهَا مِنْ قَرَارٍ. There is no stability to it. There is no strength to it. Now look at these two. The pure word, the word of Iman, or Iman itself, is this beautiful, perfect tree. Its roots go deep into the ground, meaning Iman is embedded deep into the core of a person's heart. But Iman does not just stay in the cores and the depths of the heart. Its branches shoot high into the sky. These are the branches of Iman. Like the hadiths talk about shu'abul Iman, the branches of Iman. Whether it's to do with branches pertaining to beliefs, branches pertaining to worships, branches pertaining to human rights, characteristics, conducts, morals, values. There are so many branches of Iman. So as this is deeply rooted in the heart, it is shooting high in the sky, many, many branches. And these branches are bearing fruit all the time. Iman does not stay hidden, because it shows itself in the characteristics, in the form of the characteristics of Iman all the time. When a person's alone, some part of their Iman will be reflected in seclusion. When a person is in public, their Iman will become manifest in public as well. When they're speaking, it will be in the reflection of their faith. When they're earning, again, their faith will be reflected. When they're spending, their faith will be reflected. When they're with their family, their faith will be reflected. So these branches are shooting everywhere and they're giving fruit all the time. Iman shows itself in the form of actions all the time. These are the fruits of Iman, the good choices we make, and the practical implementation of our faith that we carry out during our lives. These are the fruits of Iman. And of course, every single one of them brings immense rewards to us here in this world and in the hereafter. But the tree itself is immovable, unshakable. On the other side, you have a useless tree. Shajaratin khabitha. No fruit, no shade, no benefit of any kind, which tuthat min fawq al-ard. It was pulled off. Now, ijtatha means to uproot something. Jutha means the physical form of something. The interesting word of jutha is that it refers to something that is lifeless, like the body of a dead person or a dead animal is referred to jutha. Plural is juthath. So it is pulled out as a dead and limp and lifeless tree. Min fawq al-ard. You did not have to dig up the ground to pull this out. Because its roots are flimsy and weak, they're not embedded deep into the ground, nor do they have any strength. So this tree can be torn right off of the surface of the earth without any effort. مَا لَهَا مِنْ قَرَارٍ. There is nothing grounding it. So similarly, there is no grounding for kufr. The talks of kufr, the words of kufr, there's no base for them. They don't have a foundation. They don't have those roots. They are very easy to uproot. Iman is something very powerful. It goes very deep, and it shows, it reflects and manifests itself all the time. What a beautiful comparison between belief and disbelief. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enable us to grow this tree of faith deep into our hearts, high into the sky, and benefit from its fruits at all times. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save us from that useless tree of disbelief that has no benefit to anyone, not to any animal, not to any human being, not in dunya and not in akhirah. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين.